Welcome learners and facilitators. In this session, we are going to explore the difference between project-based learning and a project. And then we shall walk through the key requirements basing on the revised project observation checklist. Now, this guide is useful for students who carry out projects, but also for teachers who do the scoring and guiding the students who are carrying out the project. So first, we are going to begin by differentiating between a project and project-based learning. Now, project-based learning, this is an activity given by the teacher. It can be given at the beginning of a topic, or you can also give it at the end of the topic. So if you're, for example, to use project-based learning as a method of teaching, and you want to use it at the beginning of the topic, it means as a teacher, you're supposed to first go and identify a certain place in the environment. Let's say you walk in the environment and identify a problem or a situation. A problem means there is something that needs a solution, whereas a situation means it could be something perfect but is related to the topic that you want to teach. And so you move in the compound and identify either a problem or a situation that you can use to teach that particular topic. So you want to use project-based learning as a method of teaching, and so you identify a place, and then during your lesson time you go and bring the students to that particular place, and then you show them the place, you ask them if it is a problem, to identify the problem, and then you give them a task to come up with a solution. So in the process of them looking for a solution, they are acquiring the skills, the knowledge, and the values. So that is using project-based learning at the beginning of the topic. Also, you can decide to use project-based learning at the end of the topic, where learners have learned the entire topic or a theme, and then you give them activity to do that is practical, and it will enhance the learning or the knowledge I've learned, put it into practice. So that is project-based learning. Whereas a project, this is an activity undertaken by a student and a theme which is provided by the examining body. So unlike project-based learning, a project may integrate knowledge from multiple subjects. So like I said, project-based learning can just be one of the methods that you can use for teaching. And you can do project-based learning for either just a topic or a theme, or might integrate more than one theme in a subject. Whereas a project, it is undertaken by the student and it has a theme you're following, which is mostly given by the examining body, and then it will integrate knowledge from more than just one subject. So having differentiated the two, now let's go to the component. What are the requirements for a project? Now with this, we are going to base on the checklist, the new revised checklist that was given by UNEB. So if you look at the new revised checklist, the first thing there that the student will be required to have, which will be ticked on the checklist, is the problem statement. And the problem statement is supposed to have the student is expected to study the environment of the community. He is also expected to read, review, and listen to information. He is also expected to consult either internal or external community members. And finally, under problem statement, the last checkbox there is writing the problem identified. So I am going to give an example of how you can write a problem statement that has all these four components. That is, shows evidence that the student has studied the environment, he has also read, reviewed, or listened to information, he has consulted internal or external community members, and also have the problem statement written. So here is an example. But before I give you an example, let me give a background of the problem we are looking at before I give a problem statement. So I moved around the school, and I'll call the name of the school ABC. I moved around the compound of that school and identified or found out that that school has a school farm. and the farm is fence, whereas there is no gate. It is fence, they are keeping animals in it, but there is no gate. So there is a problem there. So this is how I write my problem statement in relation to that scenario. On 6th June 2026, while moving around ABC school, I observed that the school farm lacked a proper gate for controlled movement. The farm manager, Mr. Tayeba Samuel, explained that the gate was destroyed by heavy rains in January and has not been replaced due to financial constraints. According to Mukasa 2022, the absence of a gate exposes the farm to unauthorized access, theft, and accidents. This project therefore aims at designing and making a prototype gate from locally available materials to solve the problem. So that is the problem statement. Now, if you look at that problem statement, from the component, the first thing is you're supposed to study the environment. If you look at that problem statement, the first statement was saying on 6 June 2024, while moving around ABC school. So that means I studied the environment. Evidence is there. The second one is either reading or reviewing or listening to information. There is a quote there where it says, according to Mukasa 2022. So that means I either read somewhere according to Mukasa. So that is the second checklist. Then the third checklist is consulting internal, external. That's where the evidence is. The farm manager, Mr. Eba, explained. So that means I consulted the farm manager. And finally, writing the problem statement, it is written there. So that's how you can write your problem, or have the student write the problem statement where all the four evidence of the components are in them. And that is a requirement, because for you as a scorer, as a teacher who is going to score or guide a student, you need the student to get the maximum, all of them. And therefore, if they did all the four, they need to show evidence, because in most cases you don't move with them wherever they are going as they identify the problem. So in writing, they need to show evidence that they have been to those places and have also ticked or checked all the boxes. So the other component after problem statement is the title. According to the checklist, the title must contain the problem to be solved. Also, the title must relate to the theme. The theme I'm going to use here is embracing creativity and practical skills for sustainable development of society. And then the last component under project title, it must have 7 to 25 words. So I'm going to give an example of a title basing on my problem statement that I stated up there. So the title is like this: Designing and Making a Prototype Gate Using Plastic Materials for ABC School Farm to Solve the Problem of Unauthorized Access. Now, if you look at that title, the first checklist should be, must contain the problem to be solved. And the problem is there, unauthorized access. Second, it must be related to the theme. And the theme is enhancing creativity and practical skill for sustainable development. And using plastic waste material is related to the theme. And then it must be having 7 to 25 words. The title is within that range. Having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, which is between 7 to 25 words. The other component also of the checklist that is very vital is, which is the third one, is purpose of the project. And according to the checklist, the purpose, 1, should provide the reason for carrying out the project. And 2, should ensure purpose reflects the title. So let me give an example of a purpose that you can write, which is related so far, which is in line with my problem and my title. The purpose is to design and make a prototype gate using plastic waste materials to solve the problem of unauthorized access at ABC School Farm. So if you look there, it provides the reason why am I carrying out the project. It is there, and then ensuring the purpose reflects the title exactly. And then the other component that we're looking at under the checklist, which is the fourth component, is we need to have an objective. And according to the checklist, the objective must be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound, and linked to the purpose. Now, objective mainly is a breakdown of the purpose into achievable components. And those components, they should be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic term, and also linked to the purpose. So this is an example of how you can write an objective. One is collect plastic waste materials within 2 weeks. Now, if you look at that objective, you're collecting plastic waste material within 2 weeks. First, it is very specific. What are you doing? Collecting plastic waste materials. Measurable, you can measure within 2 weeks whether you have collected it or not. Achievable, yes, 2 weeks is long enough to collect the required plastic material, so it can be achieved. Realistic, yes, it is real, it can be done. Time bound, it is within 2 weeks. Linked to the purpose, yes, because we are designing a prototype gate using plastic waste material. That is part of the purpose, so therefore it is linked to the purpose. Other objectives here is, after collecting, now you design a gate prototype within 1 month, assemble the prototype using nails and tape measures, test the prototype for durability and accessibility, present the prototype to a school administration by the end of the term. So those are the objectives. You can have between 3 to 5 objectives. They are good enough. So the other component, which is the fifth one, is resources needed. And under resources needed, the learner is supposed to identify the resources needed, provide justification, and also the cost. Now, justification is why did you select that particular material, not just for what use. In other words, the property of the material that makes it suitable for your choice or for your project. Let me give an example. For this project I'm carrying out, I need plastic bottles. One of the justification is plastic bottles are waterproof, ensuring the gate withstands rain, so it won't be easily washed away. So that is the justification. The other material would need are nails. Why? Because they are strong enough to drill holes into bottles. The other material will need are tape measures. Why? They have accurate scales for proper measurements. The other material would be wooden frames. Why? They are strong to provide structural support. Then hammer, fixing nail, and so on and so forth. So those are the materials, then the justification, and then you allocate the cost. For example, if you are going to collect plastic waste material from the compound, there is no cost, so it is zero cost. Like the nails you may require to buy, you put the cost there. So if you might need to add the quantity, it is also okay, such that you get the actual cost, and so on and so forth. So for this video, I'm ending at that particular component. Let me know in the comment section if there is any component of this project checklist you want me to explain or give an example. See you in the next one.